After Canglan Academy's confrontation with Cangmu Academy, Ye Xuan and his companions are forced into brutal training under Old Jai. Bai Ze struggles to awaken the demonic bloodline within his body. Yunqi is pushed to his limits. And Ye Xuan begins to understand the true meaning of momentum, turning his sword, his fist, and his will into something far more dangerous. But outside Canglan Academy, the storm is already growing. Cangmu Academy sends students from other kingdoms. The people of Jiang Kingdom begin to take sides. And Ye Xuan's name spreads through the imperial capital like wildfire. As new enemies arrive and hidden powers watch from the shadows, Ye Xuan makes one thing clear. Every student of Cangmu Academy he meets will die. Now let us follow the next developments in The First Sword God, Episode 16. The expressions of Ye Xuan and the others stiffened. Old Jai simply kept drinking without saying a word. Yunqi, standing nearby, hesitated for a moment before finally speaking. Old man, this. You people really lived too miserably back then. Old Jai glanced at Yunqi. Yunqi's expression changed, and he hurriedly said, Old man, if there is anything, let us talk it out slowly. Do not hit me. Old Jai shook his head lightly. Here in Qingzhou, my Canglan Academy was once glorious as well, but that is all in the past. There is no meaning in speaking of it now. The three of you follow me to the back mountain. After saying this, he stood, turned, and left. The four of them rose and followed him. Only Ye Lion remained inside the hall. Ye Lion clenched her small fists. Big brother, I will work hard too. Her eyes were filled with determination. Back mountain. Old Jai brought the three of them to the front of a waterfall. He looked at Bai Ze. From now on, the intensity of your training must be increased. We must quickly stimulate the power of the demonic beast bloodline within your body. After saying that, he pointed toward two steel balls not far away, each about the size of a human head. Old Jai said indifferently, put them on yourself, then go under the waterfall. Bai Ze hesitated for a moment, then nodded. He fastened the two iron balls onto himself. With the two balls added, the ground beneath his feet sank slightly. Under everyone's gaze, Bai Ze walked beneath the waterfall and chained his legs with iron shackles. Before long, beneath the waterfall came Bai Ze's roar, like the howl of a beast. Yunqi, standing to the side, could no longer bear to watch. This scene was too brutal. At that moment, Old Jai looked toward him. Yunqi's face turned pale. He hurriedly said, Old man, I feel I am already very strong. Old Jai asked coldly, are you certain? Yunqi nodded quickly. Absolutely. Old Jai looked at Ye Xuan and said, use one sword decides life and death on him. Yunqi. Ye Xuan looked at Yunqi. Yunqi immediately jumped up and cried out, Old man, what kind of joke is this? Do not go mad after drinking too much, Old Jai said coldly. Compared to letting you die at the hands of Cangmu Academy's students, it would be better for you to die at the hands of your own people. At least then you would keep a little dignity. Yunqi fell silent. Ye Xuan walked to his side, patted his shoulder lightly and said, is it not just a little suffering? It is nothing. If you do not want to suffer, that is fine too. I can guarantee that this sword will not kill you. At most, it will only cripple you. The corner of Yunqi's mouth twitched. After hesitating for a moment, he looked at Old Jai. Say it. How are you planning to torture me? Old Jai casually tossed something out. A long iron chain appeared before Yunqi. One end of the chain was attached to several small iron balls. Old Jai said calmly, put it on, then run 100 laps around the back mountain. Morning, noon, and night you must run once each. The limit is half an hour per lap. If you exceed the time limit, add 20 laps. Ye Xuan's expression became rather strange. The back mountain was not small. The entire route was at least 40 or 50 kilometers, and the limit was only half an hour. On top of that, he had to wear chains and iron balls. In any case, Ye Xuan knew he could not do it. Yunqi's face collapsed. Old man, are you trying to make me run until my legs break? Old Jai replied calmly, running until your legs break is still better than having someone else break them. Begin. If you say one more useless word, add 10 laps. Yunqi. A moment later, Yunqi began running. As he ran, he shouted like a madman. No one knew what he was yelling about. At this time, old Jai looked toward Ye Xuan. Ye Xuan grinned. Whatever training old Jai arranges, I will follow it. Old Jai looked at Ye Xuan with a rather complicated gaze. When you were at Cangmu Academy earlier, that powers you used. Was it the power of the earth? Ye Xuan nodded. Old Jai sighed softly. You are quite mysterious, but those matters are not important. Come with me. With that, he led Ye Xuan and Jai Anjai toward a small mountain. The small mountain before them was the very one Ye Xuan had not finished punching apart before. Ye Xuan asked softly, Old Jai, do you want me to continue punching this little mountain? Old Jai answered yes, but also no. Ye Xuan looked at him. Old Jai said quietly, you are a sword cultivator, but you are also a martial artist. I do not understand the sword Dao, but I do understand one or two things about the martial Dao. Then he pointed at the small mountain in the distance. What do you think it is? Ye Xuan said in a deep voice, a mountain. Old Jai shook his head. It is not a mountain. It is the people who stand in your way. As soon as old Jai finished speaking, he suddenly threw a punch. Boom. With a single punch, that small mountain collapsed with a thunderous roar. An entire small mountain had crumbled so easily. Ye Xuan stared until his eyes widened. He knew old Jai was very strong, but now that he had personally witnessed this punch, his heart was deeply shaken. The power of this punch was simply terrifying. Old Jai turned his head and looked at Ye Xuan. Do you know what you lack most? Ye Xuan shook his head. Old Jai said softly, when you are enraged, you have enough killing intent but not enough momentum. Having killing intent without momentum means that although your combat strength is not weak, it is still not enough. If you can merge momentum into your killing intent, your strength will increase by quite a lot. Not only that, you will be able to take another step closer to becoming a martial Dao Grandmaster. After saying this, he looked toward the small mountain he had just shattered. What is momentum? Momentum is a kind of psychological suppression. Earlier, when you faced that small mountain, you treated it as a mountain. And not just a mountain, but a mountain that was very hard to break. In your state of mind, you had already lost one level. You should have treated it as a pile of trash. A pile of trash blocking your path. A pile of trash you could easily destroy. Ye Xuan said in a deep voice, but it is not trash. Is that not deceiving oneself? A good question. Old Jai looked at Ye Xuan. I am very glad you can think this way. But I want you to understand that momentum is a form of confidence. When facing an enemy, you must possess that invincible confidence. Those who oppose you, those who stand before you, those who block you, they are all trash. Of course, confidence is not arrogance. To put it simply, strategically, we look down on the enemy. Tactically, we must still take the enemy seriously. After saying this, he pointed at the small mountain he had shattered not far away. In my heart, this is only a pile of trash. But when I attacked, I did not underestimate it at all. Not only that, I used my full strength. In my heart, I look down on you, but when I act, I take you seriously. Ye Xuan turned his head and looked at the shattered mountain, falling into thought. Old Jai continued, do you know where Xianxia is strongest? Ye Xuan turned to look at him. Old Jai said softly, that girl is strong in her own momentum. Even when she faces an enemy far stronger than herself, there is not a trace of fear in her heart. Even when facing me in terms of momentum, she would not be weaker. She cannot beat me, but she has never feared me, that kind of momentum. Among the younger generation of Jiang Kingdom, it is rare. At this point, he looked at Ye Xuan. You do not have that kind of momentum, but you possess something else that others do not. What is that? Ye Xuan asked instinctively. Old Jai said softly, fearlessness. Ye Xuan did not understand. Old Jai said, you do not have that overbearing momentum that suppresses others, but you are also not afraid of anyone. At Cangmu Academy, even when you clearly knew there was no chance of victory, you still showed no fear. When you said you would fight, you dared fight. Not only that, when you faced that girl and spoke with her, your state of mind was not weaker than hers. Perhaps this is also why she values you more than others. After saying this, old Jai looked at Ye Xuan. When I look at you, I think of one sentence. You may be weak, but you must never be afraid, Ye Xuan. Suddenly, old Jai said again, come with me. After saying this, he led Ye Xuan into the distance. Before long, they arrived before another mountain. This mountain was several times larger than the one before. The previous one could barely be called a mountain, but the one before him now was a true mountain, and it was not small. Old Jai looked at Ye Xuan. When you see this mountain, what is your first feeling? Ye Xuan thought for a moment, then answered, if you want me to smash this mountain with one punch, then I think you must be mad. Old Jai drank a mouthful of wine and commented, this is precisely your flaw. You do not fear powerful enemies. In that respect, you are already better than many people. But you lack that tyrannical momentum. No, more accurately, you do have that momentum, but it only appears when your younger sister is in danger. After saying this, he drank another mouthful of wine. Stand here and think, leave when you understand. With that, he leisurely walked to a large stone, leaned back and lay down. A short while later, heavy breathing could be heard. Ye Xuan looked at the large mountain before him and fell silent. Momentum. In truth, he had felt it before. He had felt it from Xianxia. The feeling Xianxia gave him was this. In this world, there was no problem that could stop her, and no enemy she could not defeat. Of course, the clearest feeling had come from the mysterious woman. Back then, when the mysterious woman appeared on the flying ship holding a sword of water, that momentum, it had truly shaken him. With this sword of mine, if I want you to live, you will live. If I want you to die, you must die. One sword decides life and death. Thinking of this, Ye Xuan suddenly froze. A moment later, he abruptly took out the Xianxia sword. Ye Xuan held the long sword in his hand and looked toward the distant mountain. In his mind, the image of the mysterious woman appearing on the flying ship kept flashing. That woman had held a sword of water in her hand. It was as if beneath the heavens, there was no one she could not kill. Was that not also a kind of momentum? She used one sword decides life and death. He also used one sword decides life and death. Then why was the difference so huge? Putting aside the difference in cultivation realm, in truth, his state of mind had been wrong. One sword decides life and death. This sword skill did not need a realm, what it needed was momentum. It required the kind of momentum that said, if I want you to live, you will live, if I want you to die, you must die. Thinking to this point, Ye Xuan shook his head and smiled. So I have been using this sword skill incorrectly. After saying this, he raised his head and looked at the tall mountain not far away. Hum. A sword cry rang through the field, a moment later boom. A powerful grand momentum surged out from Ye Xuan's body, and the ground before him cracked apart inch by inch. Not far away, old Jai suddenly sat up and stared blankly at Ye Xuan in the distance. What the hell is this? I taught you to comprehend fist momentum, and you went and comprehended sword momentum instead. What is this nonsense? Sword momentum. In the distance, Ye Xuan held the Xianxia sword in his hand, and an extremely overbearing momentum radiated from him. Since this momentum used the sword as its foundation, it could be considered sword momentum. Ye Xuan held the Xianxia sword and slowly walked toward the great mountain. Every time he took a step, the ground before him cracked open several zhang. After a short while, the ground within several dozen zhang around him had cracked like a spiderweb. Old Jai stared fixedly at Ye Xuan from not far away. At this moment, there was no drunkenness on old Jai's face, only seriousness, sword momentum. Ye Xuan had not only released sword momentum. He was also preparing to display that sword skill. Although Ye Xuan had not yet unleashed the technique, old Jai could already feel its momentum. This momentum was absolutely not something an earth-rank sword technique could achieve. At this moment, what old Jai cared about was not momentum. What he cared about was why Ye Xuan possessed such a terrifying sword technique. At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly stopped. The moment he stopped, the sword momentum around him vanished. Ye Xuan lowered his head and looked at the trembling Xianxia sword in his hand. I will never let you lose face, whoosh. A sword cry suddenly rang out. Ye Xuan grinned. He released his hand, and in the next second, the Xianxia sword transformed into a streak of sword light that flashed out. Around Ye Xuan's sword light flickered, using Kai to control the sword. Now his sword control had become much smoother, because the compatibility between him and the Xianxia sword had reached 80%. At this time, old Jai suddenly asked from the side, "Why did you not release that sword?" Ye Xuan turned his head and looked at him. He pointed out with one finger and the Xianxia sword stopped steadily at his right side. He smiled. "There is no need to release that sword anymore because I have already understood what momentum is. Momentum. It could be said that without mixing in the power of the earth. His current one sword decides life and death had already surpassed high-grade earth rank. If the power of the earth was added, this sword would definitely not lose to a heaven rank martial technique. At this moment in his heart, one sword decides life and death was no longer just a sword technique. It was also a concept and a state of mind in the sword Tao. Old Jai looked at Ye Xuan for a long time, then he suddenly smiled. The day Cangmu Academy drove this young man away had been their greatest loss in the past 100 years. And that day, old Jai had seized the opportunity. It was truly the most profitable choice he had made in all these years. Old Jai lightly patted Ye Xuan on the shoulder, being young truly is good. After saying this, he turned and left. Ye Xuan remained where he was. He put away the sword, then raised his head and looked at the large mountain not far away. His right hand slowly clenched, boom. An invisible force suddenly shook out from his fist. Ye Xuan slowly walked toward the mountain before him. When he reached a point 1 zhang from the mountain, the cliff wall suddenly cracked. At this moment his eyes slowly closed, he clenched his right fist, crack, 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 crack. The entire cliff wall began cracking continuously, and the cracks spread rapidly in every direction. A force that pressed down on others, the fist Tao, the sword Tao. In many cases, the two were very similar. At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly opened his eyes. He rushed forward and punched the stone wall, boom. Ye Xuan's entire arm pierced into the cliff wall. In the next second, the stone wall within a radius of more than 10 zhang collapsed. Broken rocks shot outward, then turned into powder. Ye Xuan retreated several zhang. On the stone wall in front of him, there was now a pitch-black hole so deep that its bottom could not be seen. In truth, this punch was not an area attack. It was a single-target attack. This punch came from a sudden thought. He wanted to modify Collapsing Fist with the principles of one sword decides life and death. At first, he only wanted to test it. He had not expected its power to be so terrifying. Although it was not as strong as one sword decides life and death, it was at least several times stronger than his previous Collapsing Fist. It could be said that this punch could easily kill a Skysoar Realm cultivator instantly. If he added the power of the earth to it, it could even pose a threat to a Nether Passage Realm expert. Ye Xuan looked at his fist and chuckled. Let us call this move One Punch Breaks Your Head. A fist technique born to break heads, I created it myself, haha. After saying this, he turned and left. And as he left, the cliff wall behind him collapsed once more. Ye Xuan walked to the front of the waterfall. Bai Ze was still roaring continuously. Ye Xuan carefully observed him, and was surprised to discover that blue veins had bulged across Bai Ze's body. And the blood vessels under his skin were trembling slightly, bloodline power. Ye Xuan was somewhat surprised. He had heard of half-human, half-demon bodies before. These people possessed the bloodline of demonic beasts. If they could activate the demonic bloodline within their bodies, they could obtain demonic power, causing their strength to increase greatly. Clearly, the Bai Ze before him had not yet truly activated his bloodline power. Once Bai Ze activated it, his body and strength would certainly undergo a complete transformation. One had to know that Bai Ze was already very formidable now. Once the demonic beast bloodline within him was awakened, he would definitely become even stronger. At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly turned his head. Not far away, a figure was running quickly. It was Yunqi. His clothes were soaked through and he was exhausted like an ox. At that moment, Yunqi looked at Ye Xuan. When he saw him, he froze, then asked, You are not training? Ye Xuan nodded. No, Yunqi blinked. In the next second, he said angrily, Damn it, why do you not need to train? Is old Jai not torturing you? This is too unfair. Ye Xuan walked up to Yunqi and lightly patted his shoulder. Do you know what a genius is? After saying this, he pointed at himself. See, this is a genius. I am going to sleep, you keep running slowly. Spiritually, I support you. After saying this, he walked into the distance. Yunqi stood where he was and spat. Genius, shameless bastard, just wait. In the future, I will definitely beat you until you cry. After saying this, he ran again, shouting as he ran. No one knew what he was shouting. Ye Xuan returned to the front of Canglan Hall. Ye Lion still had not gone to sleep. The little girl sat on the stone steps, hugging her knees. When she saw Ye Xuan, she immediately stood. Ye Xuan walked up to Ye Lion, rubbed her head and asked gently, "Why are you still awake?" Ye Lion hugged Ye Xuan's arm and pulled him to sit on the stone steps. Then she leaned her head against his shoulder and said softly, "I wanted to stay with Big Brother." Ye Xuan smiled, "I have always been here." Ye Lion tilted her head and looked at Ye Xuan. "Big Brother, if I cultivate, will you object?" Ye Xuan froze for a moment, then smiled. "Why would I object? If you can cultivate, then in the future you will be able to protect Big Brother." Ye Lion blinked, then grinned. She hugged Ye Xuan's arm tightly and raised her head to look at the star-filled night sky. Ye Lion said softly, "Big Brother, do you think Mother is still alive?" Ye Xuan fell silent. Mother to that woman. His memories had become more and more vague. At this moment, Ye Lion continued, "Whether she is alive or not, I only have Big Brother. Having Big Brother is enough." Ye Xuan gently rubbed his head against Ye Lion's. "As long as you are safe and happy, Big Brother is willing to do anything." Under the starry sky, the two siblings quietly leaned against each other. The next day, as soon as dawn broke, Ye Xuan went to the back mountain and began cultivating. Not only did he train his momentum, he also wanted to train sword control. Now he could already control the sword, but it was still not skillful enough. What he wanted to do now was cultivate the art of controlling the sword to the limit. Bai Ze and Yunqi were also cultivating madly. Both of them felt immense pressure. Like Ye Xuan, they had come to Canglan Academy for special reasons. No matter what those reasons were, now that they had entered the academy, they possessed loyalty toward it. And the two of them understood the situation here very clearly. If they were not strong, Cangmu Academy could kill them at any time. Cultivate. Cultivate with their lives on the line. Several days later, outside the imperial capital, 3 young men wearing white and black robes rode into the city on horseback. Their speed was extremely fast, and pedestrians hurriedly dodged out of the way. At the city gate, seeing that the 3 did not intend to slow down, a soldier quickly shouted, "Who comes?" None of the 3 slowed. Seeing this scene, the soldier's expression changed completely, and he hurriedly retreated. Just like that, the 3 rode straight into the city. Before long, a group of soldiers blocked the path in front of them. A middle-aged man looked at them angrily. "In the city, galloping on horseback is forbidden, you 3. The young man leading the group jumped down from his horse, then he suddenly vanished. In the next moment, a muffled sound rang out, and the middle-aged man was sent flying. Seeing this, the surrounding soldiers were furious and wanted to act. But at that moment, an angry shout rang from the side, "Impudent." After that voice, an old man appeared before the soldiers. He looked at them coldly. "Are you blind? They are all students of my Cangmu Academy, Cangmu Academy." The expressions of the soldiers changed slightly, and they no longer dared to act. The old man looked at the 3 behind him. "Where have you 3 come from?" The young man leading them said softly, "Tang Kingdom, Tang Kingdom." Hearing these words, the expressions of the soldiers became somewhat ugly. Tang Kingdom was the enemy of Jiang Kingdom. The old man nodded. "Please follow me back to the academy." The young man leading the group refused. "No need, where is that Ye Xuan?" The old man hesitated slightly, then answered, "It would be better to discuss this carefully. The 3 of you, discuss it carefully." The young man leading them said coldly, "By the time we finish discussing with you, there may not even be soup left to drink. Do not waste time. Tell us directly where that Ye Xuan is. After taking his head, the 3 of us will return to our kingdom." The old man looked at the 3 of them. "3 of you, that Ye Xuan is not simple, he, at Canglan Academy." At that moment, the middle-aged man who had been sent flying earlier had already stood up. He looked at the leading young man and said, "Ye Xuan is at Canglan Academy." If you do not know the way, I will lead you there. The young man leading them said indifferently, lead the way. The middle-aged man turned back, glanced at the soldiers and roared, spread the word. Everyone rest for half an hour, then go to Canglan Academy to support them. Anyone who does not come, I will break their legs. Support. The middle-aged man led the 3 Cangmu Academy students from Tang Kingdom toward Canglan Academy. Behind them followed a group of Jiang soldiers and an increasingly large crowd of onlookers. All of them were going to Canglan Academy to offer support. Originally, they had not cared much about the conflict between Cangmu Academy and Canglan Academy. Some had even hoped the two sides would tear each other apart. But now things were different. Because the people who had come this time were from Tang Kingdom, the mortal enemy of Jiang Kingdom. Back then, when the two nations had gone to war, how many citizens of Jiang Kingdom had died at the hands of Tang people? Yet today, Cangmu Academy from Tang Kingdom had entered Jiang Kingdom so openly. Almost everyone stood on Canglan Academy's side, because this dispute was no longer merely between two academies. It was now between two nations. Seeing this scene, the old man from Cangmu Academy's side had an extremely gloomy expression. He suddenly felt that allowing Tang Kingdom's students to come here had been a fatal mistake. Cangmu Academy was accustomed to arrogance. It never cared what others thought, so it had not paid attention to the relationship between Jiang Kingdom and Tang Kingdom. Or more accurately, it had never cared about the thoughts of commoners beneath them. But they had not expected that this action would arouse public anger. After hesitating for a while, the old man quickly ran back to the academy. This matter had to be handled very carefully. Otherwise, Cangmu Academy would lose the hearts of the people of Jiang Kingdom. The 3 Cangmu students were led by the soldiers toward Canglan Academy. All 3 wore indifferent expressions, more accurately, disdainful and arrogant expressions. The group soon arrived at the foot of the mountain, where they ran into a little girl carrying a basket full of wild vegetables. It was Ye Xuan, who had gone down the mountain to pick vegetables and gather fruits. The little girl froze when she saw the group approaching, but she did not run. Old Jai had said that the foot of the mountain was very safe. The man leading the soldiers walked up to her. Little girl, is Ye Xuan here? Ye Xuan looked at him with wide eyes. Why are you looking for him? The man pointed at the 3 students behind him. These 3 are from Tang Kingdom. They wish to challenge Ye Xuan. We have come to support him. After observing the 3 students for a while, Ye Xuan turned toward the mountain and shouted loudly, Big brother. The people from Cangmu are here again, everyone. Immediately after, a figure in green robes rushed down as fast as lightning. Before long, he arrived at the foot of the mountain, yet he still did not stop. It was Ye Xuan. Seeing him arrive, the young man leading the Cangmu students curled his lips into a cold smile and stepped forward. So you are Ye Xuan. I am a student of Cangmu Academy from Tang Kingdom. When Ye Xuan was still about 10 zhang away, he suddenly accelerated. In a flash, he had arrived before the young man. A streak of sword light flashed and hiss. Before the young man could even finish his sentence, his body stiffened. A breeze blew past and his head separated from his neck. Blood sprayed like a fountain. The remaining people froze like statues. Ye Xuan immediately leapt to the left and swung his sword again. Hiss. The head of the second student flew out. The only remaining student finally came back to his senses and hurriedly fled. Ye Xuan did not chase him. Instead, he walked toward Ye Xuan. But the sword in his hand suddenly rose into the air and shot out. Slash. The student who was desperately fleeing more than 10 zhang away was pierced through the back by the sword. The sword withdrew, carrying a trail of blood through the air before returning to Ye Xuan. His right hand grasped the sword, his left hand held Ye Xuan. Let us go back and cook. The 2 siblings calmly returned under the frozen gazes of everyone present. Those people looked no different from stone statues. That was it, killed instantly. Before they could recover, Ye Xuan and Ye Xuan had already disappeared into the distance. Sword cultivator, too powerful. Cangmu did not want this person at first. Those people were truly blind. I think they were stupid. Among the younger generation of our kingdom right now, I fear only national scholar and can defeat Ye Xuan. I heard the 2 of them are friends. I said from the beginning that anyone national scholar and took notice of could not possibly be ordinary. See, was I right? Get lost. I remember that at the beginning, you were the one who said national scholar and had misjudged him, and that Ye Xuan was trash. The news that Ye Xuan had killed 3 Cangmu students in an instant spread throughout the imperial capital like wildfire. All the people were boiling with excitement. Those who had died under Ye Xuan's sword were Cangmu students, but they were also people from Tang Kingdom. Naturally, this made the citizens of Jiang Kingdom feel proud. Furthermore, more and more people were becoming dissatisfied with Cangmu Academy. Originally, the dispute between the 2 academies had been an internal matter of the kingdom. No one had expected Cangmu Academy to invite outside support, and from Tang Kingdom no less. Many people disliked this. Unfortunately, no one dared step forward and openly criticize a colossal force like Cangmu Academy. Another notable matter was that the foot of Canglan Academy's mountains suddenly became lively. Every day, people came to stand and watch. There were even several young women who seemed to be waiting for someone, Cangmu Academy. Like Xuankang sat in the main seat of the Great Hall. On both sides below him were instructors and elders, all figures who held real power in the academy. The academy head spoke first in a flat voice. 3 of them were at the Skysoar realm, yet none could withstand one sword strike from Ye Xuan. What do all of you think? The hall was silent. Everyone wore grave expressions. The 3 who had come from Tang Kingdom were not equal to Fen Zhu, but they were not weak either. Yet not one of them had withstood a single move from Ye Xuan. They had been killed in an instant by someone who had only reached the Imperial Kai realm. This was no longer merely challenging someone above his level. This was killing across levels. After a long silence, an old man stood and said, "This person's strength is probably only beneath national scholar and I suggest we notify the students coming from other places not to challenge him casually, lest they sacrifice themselves for nothing." Why notify them? Like Xuankang asked coldly, let them continue challenging him. Everyone stared at him in astonishment. The more he kills, the more enmity he will create. Qingzhou has a total of 72 Cangmu academies. Let him offend all of them, borrowing a blade to kill. No one here was foolish. They immediately understood his meaning. Like Xuankang slowly closed his eyes. Ever since Fen Zhu died, among the younger generation of Cangmu Academy in Jiang Kingdom, only Baiken remained. That was not enough to suppress the situation anymore. If they could not send geniuses to the central divine continent, then the resources they received would also decrease. That would deliver a fatal blow to the academy. Every year, all academies receive support from the main academy. This included cultivation methods, martial skills, spiritual weapons, and so on. But the prerequisite was that they had to send monstrous talents and geniuses there. In this era, aside from resources, what was most lacking? Talent. Cangmu Academy naturally had enemies in the central divine continent as well. They needed talents to support their power and keep it from declining. But this time, the Jiang Kingdom branch had suffered severe losses. It could be said that compared with branches in other countries, they had already fallen into a disadvantaged position. It was too late to cultivate new geniuses. The only method left was to make the other academies suffer similar losses. On one hand, this would make Canglan Academy come under attack. On the other, it would reduce the number of geniuses from the other academies. Of course, if Ye Xuan could be killed, that would be even better. In short, right now they only needed to sit and watch the clam and snipe fight, Ye Xuan. Thinking of this name, like Xuankang's expression darkened. The academy's heavy losses were not the most important thing. What truly gnawed at him was the fact that Ye Xuan had once wanted to join Cangmu Academy. If they had accepted him from the beginning, then Canglan Academy would already have been pushed out of the game. But now Canglan had obtained Ye Xuan. And that had turned it into an unknown variable. Like Xuankang spoke again, pass down my order. Whoever kills Ye Xuan will immediately be rewarded with 2 high-grade Earth-rank martial skills, 2 Earth-rank cultivation methods, 1 million supreme-grade spirit stones, and permission to cultivate in the secret realm of Cangmu Academy in Jiang Kingdom. His words shocked everyone present. 2 high-grade Earth-rank martial skills. 2 Earth-rank cultivation methods. 1 million supreme-grade energy stones. A massive reward like this was enough to place a bounty on the life of a divine union realm expert. Yet it was being used on Ye Xuan, someone who had only reached the Imperial Kai realm. An old man hesitated before saying, "Head, this price, is it not a little too high?" Like Xuankang shot a cold gaze at the person who had spoken. "If he does not die, he will certainly become a great threat to my Cangmu Academy. We must use all our strength. We must not underestimate him. Otherwise, in the future, we may die without even a place to be buried." Toward a genius, if one could not recruit them, the best choice was to destroy them. Moreover, Ye Xuan was a genius of Canglan Academy. Like Xuankang did not want to face an enemy at the level of a sword lord in the future. Or worse, a sword emperor. Sword lord, sword emperor. Like Xuankang's expression became gloomy. Suddenly, a middle-aged man rushed into the great hall. "Head Ye Xuan, he is here." Everyone present froze. Ye Xuan had come here. A young man stood on Kang Mountain, facing a group of Cangmu students who all looked extremely wary. He said indifferently, "Do not be nervous. I only came to practice writing." As soon as he finished speaking, the sword in his hand began to dance. Before long, a line of words appeared on the ground. "Fight me. Come fight me if you have the guts." Hearing this, the faces of the Cangmu students immediately became extremely ugly. This was open humiliation of Cangmu Academy. Some young students wanted to charge forward, but at that moment, Lai Xuankang and several others appeared in the field. Lai Xuankang glanced coldly at Ye Xuan not far away. He was just about to speak when Ye Xuan turned and left. He walked very quickly. In the blink of an eye, he vanished. Behind Ye Xuan remained another line of words. "Over 100 students, yet not a single one has balls." When he read this line, like Xuankang's face became extremely dark. As for the students of Cangmu Academy, their faces turned red with rage. Damn it, this was too humiliating. Some students wanted to rush after Ye Xuan, but they were stopped by the instructors. Like Xuankang glanced coldly at the students, returned to the mountain. Those students did not dare disobey. They could only go up the mountain while suppressing their anger. Somewhere nearby, a girl stared at Ye Xuan's distant back and asked, "Why did you not let me act?" This person was Baiken. Beside Baiken stood Kumo. Kumo shook his head. "With this person's strength within our Jiang Kingdom, I fear only national scholar and who has already left Jiang Kingdom could suppress him." Baiken fell silent. Her strength was not much weaker than Fen Ju's. Since Ye Xuan could kill Fen Ju, he could naturally kill her as well. Kumo glanced in the direction where Ye Xuan had disappeared and said, "I did not expect that he survived that day. This person is too mysterious." After saying that, he turned to Baiken. "You are not allowed to go looking for him on your own. Leave everything to the academy." Baiken remained silent. After leaving Cangmu Academy, Ye Xuan did not wander around. He prepared to return to Canglan Academy. This trip to Cangmu Academy had been something he had done secretly. His main purpose was to see those Cangmu students upset, to provoke them. Of course, if possible, he also wanted to kill a few more people. Ever since Cangmu Academy had kidnapped his younger sister, he had hated that place to the very core. Now, if he met a student of Cangmu Academy on the road, he would not hesitate to walk over and kill them. At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly stopped. In front of a house on his right, not far away, a little girl in a black dress was crouching. The girl was about 12 or 13. Her black dress was quite unusual. A white skull flower was drawn on it. The girl was carving a wooden figure. Her movements were rather clumsy, and after great effort she had only barely carved something out. Suddenly, the little girl raised her head and looked at Ye Xuan. Only now did Ye Xuan clearly see her face. In terms of appearance, she was not particularly beautiful. Instead, she seemed somewhat gloomy. Her eyes in particular made people feel deeply uncomfortable, as though being looked at by her meant death. Ye Xuan hesitated for a moment, then walked up to her and crouched down. He picked up the piece of wood and the knife in the girl's hands and asked, "What do you want to carve?" The little girl glanced at Ye Xuan, then pointed toward a distant roof. Ye Xuan raised his head and saw a strange black bird there. It had only one leg. Ye Xuan thought for a moment, then began carving quickly. A short while later, a lifelike bird appeared before the girl, wood carving. In truth, Ye Xuan had liked wood carving in his spare time when he was younger. When he and Ye Lion were children, the two siblings had been very poor. Sometimes Ye Lion wanted toys, but of course he could not afford them, so he carved small wooden toys for her himself. Every time he could make the little girl happy. Over time, his craftsmanship became quite excellent. Birds, fish, people, he could carve them all vividly. Of course, aside from making Ye Lion happy, this craft had no damn use at all. But to him, making Ye Lion happy was already enough. Ye Xuan handed the little wooden bird in his hand to the girl in the black dress. For you. The girl accepted the little wooden bird, glanced at it, then looked at Ye Xuan. Ye Xuan smiled. To carve wood, your mind must be steady, you cannot rush. The faster you go, the easier it is to make mistakes. After saying this, he picked up a piece of wood beside the girl in the black dress and began carving quickly. In only a short while, a small wooden figure appeared in Ye Xuan's hand. This wooden figure looked exactly like the girl in the black dress. The moment she saw it, the girl in the black dress stared at it intently, clearly liking it very much. Ye Xuan handed the wooden figure to her and smiled. This is for you too. The girl looked at Ye Xuan and took the wooden figure. She still did not speak. Ye Xuan smiled and rubbed the girl's head. In truth, it was only a habit. He was used to rubbing Ye Lion's head. Suddenly, the girl in the black dress stared fixedly at him. Ye Xuan suddenly felt his heart panic for some reason. He frowned and hurriedly forced himself to calm down. The girl in the black dress suddenly shifted her gaze back to the wooden figure in her hand. Ye Xuan immediately felt much more comfortable. Ye Xuan glanced at the girl before him. There was no fluctuation of profound energy on her body. She looked like an ordinary person. After hesitating for a moment, Ye Xuan said, "Little sister, are you perhaps some incredibly powerful, peerless expert?" The girl in the black dress glanced at him and did not speak. Ye Xuan chuckled. He secretly looked around, then lowered his voice. "I will tell you a secret." The girl in the black dress looked at Ye Xuan and still said nothing. Ye Xuan flicked his wrist, and the Xianxia sword appeared in his hand. The girl in the black dress glanced at the Xianxia sword. Her gaze remained as calm as still water. Ye Xuan pointed at himself and said mysteriously, "A sword cultivator. I am a great sword cultivator. Am I powerful?" The girl in the black dress widened her eyes, her expression becoming rather strange. Ye Xuan subconsciously rubbed her head again, then smiled. "Big brother still has things to do, so I will leave first." After saying this, he stood and departed. A short while later, Ye Xuan had disappeared from the girl's sight. The girl in the black dress withdrew her gaze and looked at the wooden figure in her hand. After a while, she stood and raised her head to look at the one-legged little bird not far away. Could you sense anything? The one-legged little bird shook its head. The girl in the black dress turned toward the horizon, her brows furrowed. A sword immortal has appeared within Jiang Kingdom's territory, yet we Dao protectors knew absolutely nothing. How ridiculous. At this point, she seemed to think of something and suddenly looked toward the street. Ye Xuan's back had already disappeared at the end of the distant street, but it was as if she could still see him. That person offended master. "I will go kill him." The one-legged little bird was about to fly away. The girl in the black dress reached out and grabbed it, catching the bird in her palm. The girl said indifferently, "This person has a clear sword heart. There was only goodwill in his heart. He is a talent worth nurturing. Do not touch him, let him grow, if in the future. He still carries goodwill in his heart as he did today. And his sword heart remains clear. Then he will be very suitable for us to cultivate into another talented figure for our Qingzhou territory." After saying this, the girl turned and walked away. With one step, she vanished. Ye Xuan arrived at the foot of Canglan Academy's mountain. A crowd immediately surrounded him, and among them were many young women. Young Master Yi. A young man walked up to Ye Xuan, bowed respectfully and said, "I am Yulin, heir of the Yu family." "Young Master Yi, my family is holding a banquet tonight. We would like to invite young Master Yi to attend." Another man beside him hurriedly said, "Young Master Yi, I wish to join Canglan Academy. Please, young Master Yi." Young Master Yi, are you really a great sword cultivator? Young Master Yi, this young woman greets you. Are you really a sword cultivator? Try swinging your sword twice for us. Ye Xuan fled in panic back mountain. Ye Xuan reached the foot of the waterfall. Bai Ze was still bitterly cultivating. At this moment, his entire body was emitting a faint red glow. Bai Ze glanced at Ye Xuan and asked, "You are not cultivating." Even his voice trembled as he spoke. Ye Xuan nodded and said solemnly, "Normally, geniuses do not cultivate. For example, me." Bai Ze glared at Ye Xuan. "Get farther away." Ye Xuan chuckled. At that moment, a gust of force attacked from his right side. Ye Xuan turned suddenly and threw a punch. Bang, a figure was forced back. Immediately after, a flash of cold light silently appeared before Ye Xuan. Ye Xuan leapt backward and avoided the cold light. At that moment, another figure appeared before him. Along with it came a black staff that suddenly smashed down toward his head. Ye Xuan clenched his right hand into a fist. Boom. A wave of fist momentum swept out from within him. This fist momentum alone was enough to force the black staff to stop. Ye Xuan punched out. But the figure had already retreated more than 10 zhang away. The figure was Mo Yunqi. Mo Yunqi looked Ye Xuan up and down. "Why has your fist become so powerful?" Ye Xuan said nothing, he suddenly vanished. Seeing this, Mo Yunqi's expression changed. The tip of his foot lightly tapped the ground, and his entire body quickly retreated 10 zhang. At the same time, a flying knife flashed through the field. So fast, boom, Ye Xuan quickly stopped. The moment he stopped, another flying knife had already arrived before him. At that moment, a sword cry rang out, and a flying sword chopped directly into the flying knife. Boom. The flying knife flew backward and landed before Mo Yunqi. Mo Yunqi grinned. "How is this flying knife of mine? Pretty impressive, right?" Ye Xuan suddenly looked behind Mo Yunqi and greeted Old Jai. Mo Yunqi instinctively turned his head, but there was no one behind him. Bad. Mo Yunqi's expression changed and he hurriedly turned back. Boom. A muffled sound rang out, and Mo Yunqi was thrown more than 10 zhang away. Mo Yunqi lay on the ground, angrily pointing at Ye Xuan as he cursed, "Ye Xuan, you bastard, you used tricks again. Are you even human?" Ye Xuan blinked, "You can trick me too. Come on, hurry and tell me someone is behind me." Mo Yunqi was so angry he almost spat blood. Damn it. Ye Xuan shrugged, turned and left. Behind him, Mo Yunqi turned to look at Bai Ze beneath the waterfall not far away. "This person is shameless, is he not?" Bai Ze nodded very seriously. Mo Yunqi shook his head. "I have never seen anyone so shameless." At that moment, Bai Ze not far away suddenly said, "Have you finished running?" Hearing this, Mo Yunqi's expression changed instantly. In the next second, he disappeared on the spot, inside a house. Old Jai lay drunk on a reclining chair. Ye Xuan suddenly appeared beside him and looked at him. "Old Jai, I have something I want to discuss with you." Old Jai opened his hazy eyes and looked at Ye Xuan. "Speak." Ye Xuan thought for a moment, then answered, "I want to break through to the Skysoar realm." Skysoar realm. He had been stuck in the Imperial Kai realm for some time now. Right now, he felt he had already reached the limit of the Imperial Kai realm, and could advance to the Skysoar realm at any moment. Unfortunately, he could not break through like an ordinary person. He had to find spirit swords. And perhaps he needed more than one. If he reached the Skysoar realm, his strength in every aspect would surely increase greatly. Most importantly, he would be able to fly into the air. At that time, he could try combining it with the sword and see whether he could ride the sword. Sword flight. At present, he could already control the sword, but he still could not fly on it. That was truly regrettable. Old Jai nodded lightly. Wanting to break through to the Skysoar realm is a good thing. Ye Xuan hurriedly said, "But my physique is a little special. To break through to the Skysoar realm, I need spirit swords." Old Jai, buy me a dozen spirit swords. Hey, Old Jai, do not sleep, wake up, damn it. In front of Ye Xuan, Old Jai had already fallen deeply asleep, as if dead. No matter how Ye Xuan called him, he would not wake. Seeing Old Jai pretend to sleep, Ye Xuan was so angry he almost drew his sword and cut him down. But after thinking about the old man's terrifying strength, he only thought about it in the end. At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly turned around. a woman stood at the doorway. Jai Anjai looked at Ye Xuan. Come with me. After saying this, she turned and left. Ye Xuan looked at old Jai in front of him, shook his head and sighed, shameless. With that, he went out and followed Jai Anjai. Jai Anjai led Ye Xuan to the back mountain. In one corner of the back mountain stood two small halls. The wild grass growing around them was nearly as tall as an adult, extremely desolate. Jai Anjai led Ye Xuan to the front of one of the small halls. Ye Xuan raised his head and looked. Before the hall were two large characters, Martial Hall. Jai Anjai said softly, this place was once the holy land of Canglan Academy. Ye Xuan glanced at the Martial Hall before him. Is there anything valuable inside? Jai Anjai turned and glared at Ye Xuan. This is a holy land. Ye Xuan rolled his eyes. All I know is that our academy is so poor we are about to run out of food. Jai Anjai was silent for a while before saying softly, Canglan Academy was once extremely glorious. It was even more glorious than Cangmu Academy is now. Ye Xuan asked, then why did it decline to this state? Jai Anjai shook her head. Expansion. Ye Xuan did not understand. Jai Anjai replied softly, when a force reaches a certain level, for example, Canglan Academy back then even the royal family had to obey. At that time, we had expanded to an unprecedented level in history. We no longer put anyone in our eyes, and that naturally offended many people. That was not all. Back then, Canglan Academy also missed out on one student. At this point, she looked at Ye Xuan. Gu Tianchen, the legendary figure of Cangmu Academy. In truth, this person was originally a student of our Canglan Academy. Ye Xuan froze, then asked, then why did he go to Cangmu Academy? Jai Anjai shook her head. He was forced away. After saying this, she walked toward the Martial Hall. Whether it is a force or a person, when one reaches a certain level, they will expand. Once a person becomes inflated, they lose their way. A force is the same. Later, we paid a painful price for that expansion. As she spoke, she suddenly stopped and turned to look at Ye Xuan. In the final battle between the two academies, the older generation did not act. Therefore, the younger generation, all the students of my Canglan Academy, were slaughtered to the last. At that time, beneath the small path of Cang Mountain, the heads of Canglan Academy students were piled high. Ye Xuan fell silent. This world was cruel by nature. When he was in King City, the small worlds around King City often fought to the death for resources. And Canglan Academy's decline made him think of 4 words. Prosperity followed by decline. Whether a person or a force, after reaching a certain height, they would expand, then lose their path. This matter served as a warning to him. No matter what level he reached in the future, he could not allow himself to become inflated. The two entered the hall. Inside were 9 long pillars. Each pillar was 2 zhang tall, and unknown symbols were drawn around them. Jai Anjai pointed at the 9 long pillars. These 9 long pillars were once 9 inheritances left by experts from the main academy in the central divine continent. Every year, new experts would pass down their own martial Dao through these 9 pillars. But after Canglan Academy declined, the main academy completely abandoned this side. The inheritances have not appeared here again for many years. After saying this, she laughed self-mockingly. They have probably forgotten us completely. Ye Xuan remained silent. At this moment, he did not care much about right and wrong. He only knew that old Jai of Canglan Academy had saved his younger sister and taken in both him and Ye Lion. He had to repay this kindness. This was the kind of person Ye Xuan was. If there was kindness, repay kindness. If there was hatred, repay hatred. Jai Anjai walked up to a long pillar. She suddenly drew her saber and slashed, clang. The long pillar collapsed and shattered. Jai Anjai did not stop. She swung the long saber quickly. In only a short while, all 9 long pillars had been shattered. After these 9 pillars shattered, 9 fist-sized crystals appeared inside the hall. What are these? Ye Xuan asked, somewhat puzzled. Jai Anjai replied, jade-grade spirit stones. They were the foundation stones of the 9 inheritances. Each one should sell for a good price. They are also the most valuable things we currently have. Take them and sell them for money. After saying this, she turned and walked out of the martial hall. Inside the hall, Ye Xuan looked at the jade-grade spirit stones before him and did not speak for a long time. 15 minutes later, Ye Xuan went down the mountain. Inside a certain house, old Jai sighed softly. "Girl, that was your grandfather's prize money." Ye Xuan went straight to Drunken Immortal Tower. Drunken Immortal Tower was the largest chamber of commerce in the imperial capital. If he wanted to sell things or buy things, he could only look for them. At a certain place on the street, Ye Xuan suddenly stopped. Not far in front of him stood a man. The man wore a white brocade robe and held a feather fan in his hand. He looked elegant and composed. Ye Xuan looked at the man. "Cangmu Academy?" The man smiled. "That is correct, you are Ye Xuan." At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly vanished. Before his body appeared, a terrifying punch had already blasted toward the man. The man narrowed his eyes. Surprise flashed in his gaze, and he did not dare underestimate it. The folding fan in his hand gently spun, releasing a sharp gust of force that slashed out like a blade. Boom. With the explosion, two figures quickly retreated. They were Ye Xuan and the man's. But immediately after, Ye Xuan stopped and appeared before the man again. The man's pupils contracted slightly. The folding fan suddenly snapped shut. Then he raised it and a cold flash appeared and vanished. Hiss, a tearing sound rang out. But the man quickly retreated more than 10 zhang away. Ye Xuan looked at his fist. There was a bloody line across it. Ye Xuan shook his hand, then slowly clenched it. Boom. The ground before Ye Xuan immediately cracked open. An invisible current like a violent storm swept toward the man. The man narrowed his eyes. What a domineering punch. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly released the folding fan in his hand. Immediately after, the folding fan became like a sharp blade slicing forward. Hiss. A piercing tearing sound rang out. The folding fan not only tore through the air, but also tore through Ye Xuan's current of force. But at that moment, Ye Xuan had already arrived before the man. He did not waste words. Another punch, powerful, simple boom. The man retreated 10 zhang again, while the folding fan had already fallen into Ye Xuan's hand. Ye Xuan was about to destroy it, but then he discovered it was a spiritual weapon. Without the slightest hesitation, he put the fan away. In the distance, the man. After putting the fan away, Ye Xuan looked toward the man. The man narrowed his eyes. "It seems your head is not easy to take, you." At that moment, his voice stopped abruptly. Because Ye Xuan had already rushed before him, another punch. But this punch was different from the previous one. Its power was several times stronger than before. That enormous contrast made the man's expression change violently. He was just about to counterattack when an incomparably powerful punch descended upon him. One punch breaks the head. The power of this punch filled the man with despair. A moment of silence, boom. The man's head exploded, and Ye Xuan was already standing several zhang behind him. Ye Xuan coldly glanced around. "Students of Cangmu Academy, I will kill everyone I meet." After saying this, he strode into the distance. Ever since the students of Cangmu Academy kidnapped his younger sister, he had hated this academy to the extreme. They could touch him. But they could not touch his younger sister. The surrounding spectators looked at one another, their eyes full of shock. The young man with the fan had been, at minimum, a peak Skysoar realm expert. But Ye Xuan had killed him with one punch. Somewhere nearby, 3 men stared at Ye Xuan as he walked away. These 3 were also students of Cangmu Academy from other places. After a while, the man in the flower-patterned robe shook his head. "We return to our country." The man beside him said in a deep voice, "We are leaving just like this. If we kill him, we will obtain Earth-rank cultivation methods, martial skills, and supreme-grade spirit stones." The man in the flower-patterned robe looked coldly at the speaker. "Will you still have your life to claim them?" The man's expression became somewhat ugly. The man in the flower-patterned robe turned and looked at the headless corpse in the distance. That person's strength was stronger than the 3 of us, yet he could not withstand a single punch. After saying this, he turned to look in the direction of Kang Mountain. This Ye Xuan is not an ordinary genius at all. Cangmu Academy of Jiang Kingdom wants to borrow a blade to kill. We will not step into these muddy waters, and we do not have the strength to step into them either. let us go. After saying this, the man turned and left without hesitation. The other two hesitated for a while, then followed. Earth-rank cultivation methods and martial skills were very tempting, but one had to be alive to obtain them. Life was most important. On another side, a man in a black robe looked at the corpse on the ground and chuckled. His strength is not bad. As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished. At the end of the street, Ye Xuan suddenly stopped. A man in a black robe stood before him. The black-robed man looked at Ye Xuan and smiled. You just said that whenever you meet a student of Cangmu Academy, you will kill them, correct? After saying this, he beckoned. I am also a student of Cangmu Academy, come and try killing me, At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly vanished from where he stood. The corner of the man's mouth lifted. In the next instant, a violent aura surged out from within him. Is this the Nether Passage realm? No, this is half-step Nether Passage. Someone around them cried out, no wonder he is so confident. I did not expect him to have already reached half-step Nether Passage realm. At that moment, the sound of a sword rang out. One sword decides life and death. This time, Ye Xuan released his strongest killing move. The moment this sword appeared, the black-robed man's face changed. It was instantly filled with horror. The profound energy in his body surged violently, and at the same time he struck forward. Boom. A wild power erupted from his fist, and burning flames roared out with it. Most importantly, this punch carried fist intent. When they saw the fist intent, cries of shock rang out from the crowd again. Fist intent. This meant that the black-robed young man was very likely to become a martial Dao Grandmaster. Or perhaps he had already become a quasi-martial Dao Grandmaster. At that moment, Ye Xuan's sword arrived. A moment of silence. Hiss. A human head suddenly flew into the sky. It was the black-robed man's head. Behind the black-robed man, Ye Xuan opened his palm. A streak of sword light fell into his hand. When the sword light faded, it was the Xianxia sword. He put away the sword and walked quickly into the distance. If one sword could settle the matter, he would not waste half a day fighting the other party. That was why he had used his strongest strike. Everyone around him froze like wooden statues, killed instantly again, killed instantly again. The onlookers, along with several Cangmu Academy students hiding in the dark, were all stunned. A half-step Nether Passage expert. A quasi-martial Dao Grandmaster. And he had been killed instantly just like that. This was not victory, this was instant killing. One sword had taken his life. Many people had not even seen that sword clearly. They had only seen a streak of sword light flash. Then the black-robed man's head had flown into the air. Just what level had Ye Xuan reached? At that moment, Ye Xuan suddenly turned back. Under everyone's gaze, he walked to the black-robed man's corpse, picked up the pouch at his waist, then turned and left again. Everyone.